Okay. Shalom to my brother Dimitri in the building. What's going on? What's going on? This is just a random live. It's not even official. It's a random live. I decided to go live. I'm up late, and while I was working on some stuff, I saw that one particular individual who trolls the comment section is go by the name of Kevin Carter, not mistaken. Waiting for him to join in so that way I can put an end to his madness. Typically, I just ignore that type of stuff, but got a little bit of time right now. Got things I'm working on, but I got a little bit of time. All right, so just give me a second. Family, I'm just trying to get this link out there. About work, and I never see anything back. Van Coates, you said work. Are you referring to our services that we have that we use also for employment? Let me know if that's what you're referring to. And I'll go back, I'll check with my admins and see if we check the email out for you. Shout out to Shema and more in the building. Scott Garrett Headley, 617, let's get it. Shema, you said you wish you could have made it to Dallas. Aren't you in Texas, Shema? I think you're in Texas, right? I think you're like north of Dallas, something like that. That would have been great to have you out there, man. I had a great time, man. It's just because of COVID-19, a lot of people called me and had to cancel, man, because it was locking things down and their family was worried and all this other stuff. So, I mean, the turnout wasn't bad. We had about 20 people that came out, you know what I'm saying, out of 50 people that initially RSVP'd or, showed interest or whatever the case may be. So out of 50 something people, we got 20 people that showed up. So, it's not all about quantity, it's about the quality, and everybody that showed up, I mean, I'm glad that they made it, you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely worth it just to go and holler at them. You feel me? So, Yahweh Eveve says, Shalom, hola mi hermano. Okay. Hola mi hermano. Hello, my brother. All right. So Meek for real says, are there any KHM chapters in NYC? Yes, we have a chapter in NYC, but it's not official because we didn't do an official launch there yet. Like we did in Dallas. I mean, Dallas was cool, man. I just put a video up from some behind the scenes for the Patreon. So anybody that's here that's a Patreon member, they have an opportunity to check out some of the behind the scenes pictures and like 2 video clips that I put up. Also, the actual briefing, I live streamed it. So anybody can watch that. And if you're in Dallas and you wasn't able to make it and you're interested in joining KHM, definitely just email us, let us know you're interested. And it's okay. Like I said, I'll be back in Dallas soon. I love Dallas. Didn't think I was going to like it that much. I've been in and out of Dallas twice before. But I was never downtown, right? It's my first time being downtown in Dallas, you know what I'm saying? And meeting a lot of the Achim and that was out there. And it was good, man. It was good. If you'll follow me on Facebook, I put some images up for the Friday night campaign. And then there was a video that I'm working on, I told y'all about, when I'm speaking to 2 white Catholics, a male and female couple, and they're Catholics, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of pretty much break down for them our position in regards to the Trinity, and as well as explaining what are Israelites doing out here, what is our cause, what are we, attempting to do, what is our end game, and I broke that down. So I got somebody that's working on the audio for that video. So once he completes that, then I'll definitely throw it up. Again, it'll be a 48-hour Patreon exclusive first. And then it'll be available publicly on YouTube. All right. So he says, I'm near Arkansas and Louisiana, tri-state area. Oh, yeah, man. That would have been great for you to come out, man. But I'll be back in that area soon. I was supposed to be in Houston this Friday, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately, because Houston is locking down because of COVID-19. And then the people, again, who watched the video that I posted up on Patreon, one of the clips is me speaking to the attendees before they come in to the venue. I'm meeting them at the door. I have a table. I have some gloves there. I have some masks there. I have some hand sanitizer, and then I'll have our specialty made masks that we have from our subsidiary LOL Accessories and Boutique. And then I have the cups with almonds and pistachios. I know people ask me, well, what was in that cup, from Patreon? It was almonds and pistachios, right? Because those are hospitality gifts that you give when you're inviting somebody in your home to an event, when you go to their home, right, or their event, or if there is some kind of issue you have with the person, you bring them a gift to show that, let's come in peace and let's make peace and so forth. This was an Israelite custom, right? And if any of you watched the live stream, I explained the scriptural basis for that, right? And I told our people that we have to start restoring these elements of hospitality that's been lost over time. It's a pre-exilic Israelite custom, you know what I'm saying, that we need to reinstitute. You know what I'm saying? So Fly C Soldier says, Shalom, didn't I see you in the protests in Atlanta, Georgia, fam? Possibly. Fly C Soldier, I'm not sure who you are. I can't see your face or anything like that. So it's possible. Me and my team went out there and we shot some video, and that video was up on this YouTube channel. So if you go back and you check it, and that was on Juneteenth, if that's what you're talking about, Juneteenth, let me know if that's what you're referring to. If so, then you probably did see me. You know what I mean? So shout out to Millie Love in the building. What's going on, sis? Benjamin Dyer Wolf, Jen 4927, Eliyahu, Yirmiyahu 617. Let's get it. He says, how about a Boston chapter? So New York and Boston are separate. I already got a point of contact in Boston, and I told him if more people reach out to for a Boston chapter, then we will definitely put that on our schedule, right? We had a 6 or 7 city tour. Well, actually it was initially when the year started, we had a 10 city tour planned for this year. COVID-19 hit, and now COVID-19 pandemic is surging again. So now this has put a dent on a lot of our travel plans, and I really don't want anything to interfere with our Q4 plans. But I mean, the most important thing is us going out and setting up these chapters and expanding the organization, so that way we can really be at the forefront of change in communities in these cities that need it. You feel what I'm saying? So, but yeah, 617, let's get it. You are the third person to ask about Boston. If we get 7 more people, like I said to people, it's a minimum of 10 people. We get a minimum of 10 people interested that will show up and say, look, we want to see what KHM is about. You know what I'm saying? We already know, enough from the channel. You know what I'm saying? Social media, we want to be down. We need at least 10 people, because there's at least 10 roles that we need for people to fulfill, even if it's just temporary roles until people see where they fit in. You know what I'm saying? We need at least 10 people to show interest, and then we'll show out. If it's more than 10, then we're definitely coming. If it's at least 10, then we'll show up. You know what I'm saying? So 617, let's get it. If we get 7 more people show interest in Boston, then we there. You know what I'm saying? In any other city. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting y'all know, no city is off limits. If we got a minimum of 10 people interested, it could be you, your family, your friends, it could be other strangers that reach out to us. If there's a minimum of 10 people that shows interest, and that's definitely going to show up no matter what, then we will make our way there to your city. All right. It doesn't matter what city it is. You can throw any city up here in the U.S., continental U.S., even if you're in Alaska. And I know we have a member out in Hawaii. So we got to go out in Hawaii. And we got like 4 other people in Hawaii. I didn't even know we have people watching this like that in Hawaii. But we're going to make a trip out to Hawaii, too. But I won't be until next year, or maybe either December or February. We go to Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what happens. But like I said, if y'all know 10 people, 10 brews that say, yo, we want to get down with KHM, so that way we can come together and pull in our resources and fix the community, right? After we deal with internal issues, right? We got to see what each person who signs up, every member, everybody has their list of issues, problems. We want to help to resolve those ills so they can be more focused on the mission and assignment at hand, right? We want to remove any barriers that will prevent them from actually being the change they want to see in their community. Right. So that's the most important thing. And everybody that came out in Dallas was down for it. You know what I'm saying? Just like in Orlando, we had almost 40 people that showed up in Orlando. You know what I'm saying? And that was only because that was special invite only. The door wasn't even open. You know what I'm saying? For everybody to get in, because once we reached capacity, then I had to turn people away. You know what I'm saying? So Orlando was a big turnout. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that turnout will be like that again because of COVID-19 and Florida being locked down. But almost everybody that came out there was with it. You know what I'm saying? And Dallas, everybody that showed up, we talking about 20 people. Everybody was like, yo, we with it. And I think it's because, you know, they're actually looking to do more. You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be more to this walk than just statute laws and commandments. Yes, you keep the statute laws and commandments, but if your community is not changing around you and there's no shalom or peace in that city, it's because you're not applying it to the societal ills that are there. So that way you could be the peace you want to see and the peace that you're seeking. You cannot ask Yah for shalom in a communion if you're not putting in work and your hand to the plow and getting the work done. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. All right. So Michael James says, how did the holistic workshop turn out? So great question. We were supposed to do a 3-day blitz. We did the street campaign. We did the KHM Dallas chapter launch event, which was Saturday. Street campaign was Friday. Sunday, we could not do the workshop for credit repair and naturopathic health. And the reason we couldn't do that was because the meeting rooms and conference rooms in Dallas, either number one, they were too small, but number two, there was a state and citywide mandate that they had to operate at 50% capacity. So initially we were scheduling for 50-person room. But what they explained to us is that because of this 50% capacity regulation, we have to give you a room that's at least 100 people. So they were offering us rooms for 100 to like 250, 100 to like 500 or something crazy like that, you know, as far as the amount of people they could seat, because you have to have space, right? And they were charging 3 times the amount. So under normal circumstances, we would get a regular meeting room, conference room that seats 50 people and be good, right? Pay the amount that it's supposed to be that I'm used to paying. But now because of COVID-19, they couldn't even place us in those rooms. They had to place us in much bigger rooms. And then they charged us 3 times the amount that we would have paid for a 50-person capacity room. So I was like, that's too much money. We're not going to do that. So unfortunately, we cannot do the workshop, the free workshop that I wanted to do, right? Now, we discussed some of that over lunch. So what I did to, you know, as a means of, you know, improvising is that we did a luncheon, right? We went to Uncle Julio's in Dallas and we ate, we talked, and we had a great time. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we did on Sunday. And we talked about credit repair and health and everything as well, amongst other questions and stuff that was coming across the table that we dealt with. You know what I'm saying? But man, I had a great time, man. I look forward to going back to Dallas, man. And if anybody's in Dallas that's interested in KHM, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And what I'm doing is giving everybody a week to look over the information to see if this is something they want to commit to, right? Because I don't press nobody to do anything. I just present it and I give them time to make the decision on their own, right? So I follow up with them this upcoming weekend just to see if they are still interested, and then we're going to move from there, right? So shout out to B Banks in the building, my brother Jetson Silencio. Jetson, let me know if you got those shirts. Hit 1 if you got those shirts. All right, let me know. Shout out to Myron Henderson, my brother Quincy Claiborne. What's going on, Aki? Sister Millie Love said you did a great job. I love your attention to details. Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. Hero Yisrael says, how come Ba'al is another word for Yod Hey Wav Hey? H1180 in particular. All right. I did a whole lesson on this in a live stream about 2 years ago, right? And it's the one where I say Lucifer doesn't exist. So Hero Yisrael, give me the scripture and let's deal with it. Because apparently you're mistaking something, apparently, because it seems like you have the GOCC doctrine, which teaches that Baali is another name for Yod Hey Wav Hey. That's incorrect, my brother. All right, but throw the scripture up there. Look, we open panel discussion. I'm gonna open the panel up shortly, but I'm doing Q&A and updates right now. Waiting on this dude named Kevin Carter. Kevin Carter, you hear me calling you? Kevin Carter, step your behind up in here, man. And I have to keep it a buck with him because he's been talking crazy. Normally, I don't address people like that, but there's people that really, you know, show their behind. So I gotta bring it to him. So Kevin Carter, I'm calling you out. All right. because right before I went live, maybe 20 minutes before I went live, he left a comment. So I know he saw that comment. He's going to say, oh, I don't know, even though he was awake and he was available because he was up enough to make a comment. He's going to say, oh, I wasn't prepared to have a discussion. Right. So you email me. Email me again, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And you let me know the time and day you want to get this work. That's all. I'll be your employer for the day. Okay? So you just let me know. All right? And remember, I always give you the Surgeon General's warning. Smoke can be spiritually cancerous to your health. So you may want to reconsider. Okay. All right. All right, good. I'm glad you got that, my brother Jetson. I'm glad you got it. I apologize for the delayed delivery. We had a lot going on, but I'm glad you guys got it. All right. Cool. That's good. All right. Quincy, he says, what's your perspective of Nick Cannon? I discussed that on the last live stream, Quincy. So you may want to check that out because I already spoke on it. So go check the last live stream out. This one, I'm just going to address questions I haven't addressed before, but I did address that one, Aki. So go check out the last live stream. You'll see what I said in regards to that. All right. All right, fam, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying it. Make sure you guys share this video, share it on all social media. All right, I'm going to be on here for at least an hour. So far, we did about 17 minutes. I'm going to be in here for at least an hour and just build with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it was random, decided to come on. And I see that a lot of y'all already up for whatever reason. So, I mean, let's chat. All right, let's chat. But yeah, another main reason why I got on is for Kevin Carter. Kevin. But y'all remember that movie Home Alone? Kevin. Where are you, Kevin? Show up. Let's go. I know he's gonna cop out. I already know he's gonna cop out. Man. All right. Shout out to K Israel in the building. What's going on here? Oh, Israel. Bring the scripture, Aki. Bring the scripture. You're saying, how come Baal is another word for Yod He Wafe? Did you know that Baal is another word for husband? Say it ain't so. Because Baali, that's what it's translated as, my husband. Because, when you have the Yod suffix, that's the possessive construct. You gotta understand the language. All right? Scott Garrett Headley says, can you check out the book, The Blind African Slave? It has a free PDF online. Scott, email that to me. Maybe I've read it. I don't know. I got to see it. Email it to me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. My brother, here, O Yisrael, please post the scripture, my brother. Let's discuss this. Or if you want to come in on the panel, let me know, and I'll invite you on the panel. Okay? All right? Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and share this link. Now, I wasn't even trying to share it in a way, but I'm probably going to go just share this link too, man. All right? Shema, okay. No problem, Shema. You said you want to talk about some points in here. Send me the PowerPoint. Just send it to me. You know what I'm saying? What you can do is just upload it on Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that and share the link with me, and then I could check it out, and you can always edit it. You know what I'm saying? So try that out and let me know. Van Coates, you said it's about the employment. Okay, I got you, my brother. I got you. I'll look it up. Okay. And more, yeah, I think he is scared, man. Eliyahu Yemyahu says, question, do you subscribe to the book of 2nd Esdras as being written by Ezra? So 2nd Esdras, we don't know who the author is, right? We don't know who the author is. It's a pseudepigrapher work. So we don't know who the author is. It was just ascribed 2nd Esdras, right? And then the reason why a lot of Israelites refer to that is two reasons. Number one, the one that says, like Esau is the world now and Jacob is the world to come, which I rock with, right? Within its context. And then the one where it goes in depth about hell, right? That is strictly Hellenized. That portion is an interpolation. It is not consistent with the rest of the actual text. And that was something that somebody added at some later time in that manuscript. All right. So Foolish World 75, I actually have that book. If you're interested in that book, who is Esau Edom, email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I got that book. All right. I got that book. Anytime, Van. I got you, Aki. And remember, we're still doing a virtual onboarding session for anybody interested in employment, right? I'm probably going to do it when I come back from Virginia Beach. Remember, y'all, I'm striving to be in Virginia Beach August 1st. August 1st is when I'm looking forward to be in Virginia Beach. There's an Israelite event out there. I will share the details with you guys soon, so you guys have it, okay? All right. Yeah, so Foolish World, yeah, email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I'll hook you up, all right? And yeah, that book is over $1,000 now. Shout out to the elder in the building, Pastor Johnson. How you doing, elder? All right, that's the elder right there in Southeast Florida, Hallandale Beach. Pastor Johnson in the building. What's going on? Jamali said, can you break down Exodus 6:3? Did Abraham know his name, Yehovah, or not? Excellent question. So let me address one thing at a time, okay? So Jamali, hold that question. All right, we got Hosea 2 and 3. So let's bring up Hosea. Let's bring up Hosea. All right, let's see what's going on here. Hosea 2:16, excuse me. Bring up Hosea 2:16. Yeah, this is the same thing that GOCC uses to disprove Yod Hey Wafe, okay? Where they says, oh, the scribe's pen, they inserted things into the text. And I'm just like, so my brother, Hero Yisrael, cool peoples, man. But you need to drop that doctrine, bro. That does not hold up to scrutiny, man. I'm about to tear it apart right now. All right, so I'm about to share my screen so y'all can see. Let's deal with this. We don't run from nothing. We deal with it, right? Hosea 2:16. Hold on, let me bring it up. Make sure I have it up. Is it sharing? Yes, it's sharing. Okay, there we go. All right, now, first thing is, let's read for context, all right? Always read for context. And then we're going to get into the actual verse itself, and we're going to parse it out ourselves, all right? So I need this brother to understand. See, we're gonna deal with this real quick, okay? We're gonna deal with this because, again, the issue that people have is not knowing the language, right? This is right here, Ba'ali. Ba, you have your bait, your patach, you have your ayin, and you have your shiwa, you have your lamed, you have your hirik, and you have your yod. Ba'ali. Ba'ali. All right. So in the beginning here, you have way, ha, yaha, which means, well, actually, let me read it in English first. Let's go to context. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Hebrew. Okay. I'm going to break down the Hebrew for y'all real quick. But when you don't read the context, you got to understand what's going on, right? Now, let's scroll up. Let's deal with this. This is, I guess we can start. I guess I'll read all of it. I was trying to avoid reading it, but I'll just read all of it. All right. So let me read all of it. All right. Shout out to my brother Black Av in the building. What's going on? All right. So let's address this, man. Let's get this out the way. All right. Hosea 2:1. Say to your brothers, you are my people, and to your sisters, you have received mercy. Plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife, and I am not her husband, that she put away her whoring from her face and her adultery from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked and make her as in the day when she was born, and make her like a wilderness, and make her like a parched land, and kill her with thirst. Upon our children also will I show no mercy, because they are the children of whoredom. For their mother has played the whore. She who conceived them has acted shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers who give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. Therefore I will hedge her up. I will hedge her way with thorns, and I will build a wall against her, so that she cannot find her paths. She shall pursue her lovers, but not overtake them. She shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then she shall say, I will go and return to my first husband, for it was better for me then than now. And she did not know that it was I who gave her the grain, the wine, and oil, and who lavished on her silver and gold, which they used for Baal. So many things right now. So right now, this situation about a whore wife, a wife who's acting as a whore, right, is being enticed by other lovers outside of her husband because of things that they're offering her. Okay. And then when she tries to seize them, they don't want to commit to her. So she says, I'm going to go back to my first husband. And what she doesn't realize that it was the first husband that was actually supplying her these goods, right? Maybe because he was selling it to the other people who are her lovers or whatever the case may be. So that is figurative language for how Yah's dealing with his people, okay? So another thing you got to understand, besides the figurative prose that's here, is where it says, which they use for Baal. So obviously, Baal is being used here, right, as a proper noun for some type of entity, right? Whether it is an ontological being or whether it is an idol, okay? Either way, there's a distinction between Yod He Wafe, where the speaking is coming through here, and this Baal character. So for you to say Yod He Wafe is Baal, verse 8 already killed you. Like you're dead already, dead on arrival. Okay, let's keep going. Therefore, I will take back my grain in this time, my wine in the season. I will take away my wool and my flax, which were to cover her nakedness. All right, so the Most High says, now I'm going to remove these things that I was giving her, because after she went with her lovers and was disappointed, she tried to come back. Now I'm going to withhold the gifts that I was giving her. And I will put an end to all her mirth, her feasts, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and all her appointed feasts. Okay? And I will lay waste her vines and her fig trees, of which she said, these are my wages, which my lovers have given me. Right? Because what the Most High is saying is that because the other nations were enticing Israel with vines and fig trees, she's thinking that they're the source for these gifts, when it's Yah who's responsible for allowing this vineyard to grow, these fig trees to grow. Okay. He says, I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall devour them. And I will punish her for the feast days of the Baals. Again, this is a word of Yah that's coming out, and he's speaking about these Baalim. Okay. The feast days of Baal. So again, this is why understanding Hebrew is important, right? You have here ha, right here, Hab Alim, Hab Baalim, Baalim, Ha. This is the definite article, the. Then you have Ba, your Beit, your Shewa. You have your Ayin and your Chemet. You have your Lamed, your Chirik. You have your Yod and your final Mem. Ha Baalim, the Baals. Okay? Asher, that. Hak, you have Seir. Right? So let's keep reading. Let's go further. Let's go further. Feast days, which we have down here, right? We have a U Pak Dati Allah Yah At, or excuse me, Et Yemeh. Okay, Chabalim Asher. You have your Hak Tir. You have your Lachem. You have your Wa Ta'ad. You have your Nizmah. So look, we're going to keep going. So look, the important thing when you're reading Hebrew is to understand what is the accusative, which is your object, and what is your nominative, or what is your subject. So what we're talking about here is that Yod He Wafe is actually speaking of another group of entities. Now we have it in the masculine plural, right? Which is Ha, the Baalim, the Baals. That is not Yod He Wafe. He is speaking about this other entity is being used as a proper noun. Now, let's keep going. When she burnt offerings to them, blah, 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 blah. Let's keep going, right? Let me shrink this so we can keep going. Right, let's keep going. Verse 14, therefore, behold, I will allure her. So now he's saying Israel went out, was enticed by the other nations. The other nation was giving her gifts. When they wanted to covenant with that nation said no. So they decided to return back to Yah. When they returned back to Yah, Yah said, I'm going to pull all the gifts that I was giving her away. I'm going to take all those away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lure her into a wilderness situation where she's stripped bare of everything. And it says, and there I will give her vineyards and make the valley of Achor a door of hope. And there she shall answer as in the days of her youth, as that time when she came out of the land of Egypt. So he's removing her out of the situation, and he's courting her again like he did in the beginning. Okay. And he says, and in that day, listen, it's the courtship process. right? When you understand the courtship process, and there I will give her vineyards and make the valley of Achor a door of hope, and there shall she answer as in the days of her youth, as at the time when she came out of the land of Misraim or Egypt. And in that day, declares Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, you will call me Baali, which is my husband. And no longer will you call me my Baal. So let's look this up. We're going to look into this. Okay. Yahweh here. Hikrai. Watch this. This is the word we're looking for. Yeah, Baali, which is my husband. Pay attention. Pay attention. What I want you guys to see is that you see here where it says, you shall no longer call me my Baal, right? And here's your root word here for call, your kuf, resh, and aleph, right? The root word here, this is kara, which means to call, and here it's conjugated, right? You will no longer call me my Baal or my husband, right? And it says, you will call me my husband, and no longer will you call me my Baal. So here's the difference. This is the thing that you got to understand. So you got to understand the separation about what's going on, okay? So when you translate it, you have that word ishi there. So let's look up this word ishi, right? This is your word ishi. Your word ishi here. So ish means man, or it can also be husband, okay? It says, you will call me my husband or my man, and no longer call me my Baal, which should be translated as the word master or my master. This is not saying that his proper name is Baal and he's Baal, because if you read up in context, he's speaking against the Baal, which is the lovers that was courting his wife, which was Israel. So the problem with people having saying that, why was he called Baal? What does he say that was his name? He says, and no longer will you call me. He didn't say my name is Baal or I am Baal. He says, no longer will you call me my Baal, which is also my master. So if we really want to get in depth into this and actually see this word Baal that's being used there, did you know that the root word Baal can also be master? Did you know that? Or it can also mean a husband. When Sarah was talking about Abraham and said, you know, he's my master or my Lord, however you want to say it, what word do you think they used there? What word do you think they were using there? What was that? Huh? Okay. Just let me know if you want. We got this in the DSS as well. We can take a look at that too if you have an issue. But it's very simple when you understand the language. All right, so we're gonna go through this real quick, go through the language real quick, so that people can see what we're looking at. Wehaya bayom hahu neum Yahweh tikrei ishi velo tikrei li od bali. Right. So the word ishi there, you have your noun, your masculine noun, right? First person is a common singular, right? So in this case, you have your yod, which is your suffix, which is your possessive construct, which means my husband or my man, right? And that day you shouldn't be my man. So he's showing the relationship, because before she was looking at the husband as if he was an employer, or he was a boss, or he was a master, and she was a servant. So when she left and came back, he said, okay, now I'm going to change that relationship, right? So no longer you're going to see me as a master. You're going to see me as your man, your husband. The relationship, he's going to go and allure her, entice and court her again, so they can get intimate on that level, so she can be like, wow, this is my husband, right? In a figurative sense. Okay, this is not rocket science. You just, even if you read it in English, you should be able to tell, to see what's going on. Okay, and then when you go to your Baali, it's the same thing. You have your first person common singular, right? Masculine noun with your possessive construct, which is your yod here, which is my Baali or my master. That's what that should say. And Ishi is my husband. Okay, that's what we're looking at here. This is It's really not that complicated, but if you read it, you'll see, right? So, but is Ba'ali the same as Adonai? No, it's not the same as Adonai, but it can have a similar meaning, because you got to understand, when the text was being written, especially this portion of it, the Semitic language has a range of words, and those range of words has a range of meanings, right? And it's limited, it's not unlimited, right? So if you have a Hebrew language, right? Because we can see it from inscriptional Hebrew, right? Iron Age inscriptional Hebrew, right? So you have a language and you have words that's being used in language. It's not the same way that we look at words in English. It's different. So that word Baal, they wouldn't be dogmatic over it. Oh, look at that. He's saying that. That's not how the receiver of this would have perceived that. Because again, if you read the context, he's talking about the Baals as if it's a proper noun. But when he's talking about here, my Baal or my master, that has a title noun. That's not the same thing as a proper noun. It's two different things when you read the context. All right. So I don't know where's here. So why did Jerubbaal get changed from Jerubbaal to Jerubasheth? What transpired? So are you not familiar with the story? I don't know if you're familiar with the story or not. You want to jump somewhere else? Okay, before we go somewhere else, right? So Dero Yahu Ben Dora says, like Adonai, authority, a term of authority, which is Baal. So Baal can be a title, Baal can be a proper name, Baal can be any of those things depending upon the context. So my brother, you cannot just proof text or cherry pick because you've heard this doctrine being taught by a group somewhere and you have not thoroughly examined it yourself. All right. And no shots at GOCC, because I got good brothers that I know in GOCC, but there's some doctrines I disagree with. This doctrine, I totally disagree with it. I totally disagree with this doctrine, because if you read it in English and then go back and read it in Hebrew and then parse it out in Hebrew. Now, if you want, I could do a brand new, fresh parsing of this entire thing. I do it on the fly like I'm doing now, or I can just take my time and just go right through it and give you a really neat translation, right? That would be consistent with how it would have been received within a historical and cultural context. And what I'm simply trying to tell you is there's no way you can get away with that. There's no professor, academic scholar of ancient Eastern cultures that will agree with that, whether they're doing linguistic studies, anthropological studies, archaeological studies, because we can go into archaeology and see where that term is also used to refer to a master. Okay, let me know if you want to go there. If you want to go there, we can pull out the Lachish letters, right? The Talarad letters. We can pull those things out. All right. So just let me know if you want to go there and just look at the additional evidence. You want to go to the Dead Sea Scrolls? We can go to the Dead Sea Scrolls as well, because we're looking at the Masoretic text, right, which is represented by the Leningrad Codex. Okay. You also have the Aleppo Codex, which is the majority text in regards to the so-called Old Testament manuscripts. All right, which is one family, and then you have your other version of it, because you can have some of your Targums, right? And then you have your Septuagint, which is your Greek translation of a Hebrew original. And then you also have your Dead Sea Scrolls. These are all various streams, okay? Also, we have the Geniza Cairo, the Cairo Geniza manuscripts, because they have some scriptures in those as well. There's various ways we can cross-reference this, but if you want to deal it strictly from the Masoretic text, what I'm simply saying is, if you're telling me that this is the name of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, another name for him, prove it. He said, no longer will you call me. He didn't call himself this. Okay. All right. Okay. And let's say he was called that for whatever reason. He said, no longer will you call me that, because you knew me as that, but that's not the right relationship. You treated me like I was another one of these other, and I'm going to court you again. All right. I'm going to lure you back. I'm going to get intimate with you again. I'm going to have this new relationship with you that needs to be restored from the past, so you can really see who's the one that truly loves you, Israel. Got it? All right. So you didn't respond to that. So you bringing up another topic. So give me the scripture for that, and we will examine that as well. All right. Virtue says, what is the best resource to learn Ge'ez language? Virtue, don't you know some Ge'ez? I think you know some Ge'ez, my brother. I'm sure you know some. I'm pretty sure you know some Ge'ez. So with me, Ge'ez being a Semitic language, the things that I look first, once you learn like Hebrew and you look at another sister Semitic language, you look for cognates. So there's a book that I have, and it goes through cognates between all of the Semitic languages. And once you understand the cognates, you can start to kind of make out some of the sentences. But I mean, it's not that easy. I'm just oversimplifying it. But I'm simply saying is it can help you to actually grasp the other Semitic languages. So I'm not a master or expert or anything in Ge'ez, right? Or Amharic, right? I can identify it by seeing it. If I hear it, I know some cognates, but that's not a language that I've studied in depth. Okay. The reason why I know a little bit of it is because I was trying to read the book of Enoch or Enoch in Ge'ez, right? That's what I was attempting to do, right? But I've abandoned that since then, and I would just do like word studies or look at some basic grammar, you know what I'm saying? Because I got books on Ge'ez, but I never really heavily got into it. Like the three main languages in regards to the scriptures that I'm really focused on, or four languages, is really just the biblical Hebrew, the biblical Aramaic, Ugaritic, and Syriac. Those are the ones that I've studied the most. Hebrew being I've more studied with that than the others. But that's where I'm trying to strive to enhance my proficiency in those areas, because the points that I make in regards to the non-material culture, I have to use those languages in order to demonstrate for you the points that I'm trying to convey, right? The others, is a little bit different, right? Like, just like if we look at the Sahidic, if we go into the Coptic, we got Coptic manuscripts as well, right? I don't read Coptic, you know what I'm saying? But we got Coptic manuscripts as well, all right? So he says, I don't know the scripture. So if you don't know the scripture, my brother, Hero Israel, go look for it, right? We're going to be on another, I said an hour. I don't know. If y'all want me to stay longer, hit 1. If you want me to stay longer, hit 1. If not, then I'll end in 17 minutes. But let me know if y'all want me to stay on longer now. All right. Shout out to my brother, King Anubis in the building. Says, boy, Divine, you scary with the knowledge. Now you... I appreciate that. I appreciate that compliment, my brother. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time on this channel. I don't know how much material you find on this channel, but I've been doing stuff like this for at least 5 years on this channel. All right, y'all want me to keep going? You want me to keep going? Okay, we'll stay on. King Anubis says, how did you learn Hebrew? So I'll tell you the truth. I learned some Hebrew when I was in the Christian church, because I think I went to 4 different churches. I was a member, crazy. I was a member of 4 different churches when I was a Christian. And 2 of those churches, had pastors. One of the pastors, he didn't really have a really like degree like that, but he worked with people in seminary and stuff like that. The other pastor, he used to be a professor at a seminary. And so when he would do like Bible study, it wouldn't be your typical Bible study. Like, he would do systematic theology with us. He would go into the language with us. You know what I'm saying? So he was pretty sharp. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I got introduced to the Hebrew, by going to church as a Christian, right? But I never decided to go and actually learn the language per se, but I made attempts to, right? It wasn't until I transitioned into being an Israelite that I took learning the language seriously. So in 2014, I took some time out to learn it for myself. So people ask me, well, how did you get started in the language? Well, 2 ways, right? 2 things. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. First thing was, I'm going to show you right here. I always keep this here just as a reference from time to time if I need it. But I went through the Zondervan Biblical Hebrew course. All right. I always keep this on me. I love this book. If you want to learn Hebrew, get this book. Okay. So I learned it through this. I also have like other books like this, like Biblical Hebrew, Vocabulary Context. This is another great book for exercises once you learn the language. I'm still going through this book. All right. But that's how I got started. Now, obviously, this is the 2nd edition, so this is much newer. So I purchased this maybe about a year within the past year. But as you know, this reference guy is old, from the old version. And then I have the biblical Hebrew set that they had. So I use that and Jeff Brenner. Now, Jeff Brenner is obviously not a recognized Semitic language professor, scholar, anything like that. But he's self-taught, but he's bad with it. And I learned a lot from his work. So between the Zondervan course and Jeff Brenner, that's how I got started with the biblical Hebrew language. And then from there, I took some courses online from universities, right? 2 different universities that took courses online. But I got to finish them. I didn't finish all the course sets. So I got through the beginner, got up to the intermediate, but then you have the advanced and expert, right? So I'm at the intermediate level when it comes to biblical Hebrew. Now, other things I have as well, like, you know, the Greek, which I hate. I hate Greek. I tell y'all right now, I hate Greek. I hate Greek. This is why I learned Syriac, because I don't like Greek. I just don't like it. There's too many nuances in Greek, man. It's a headbanger. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I learned the languages, through the Zondervan course, through Jeff Brenner's work. And then I took 2 courses online with their beginner and their intermediate. You know what I'm saying? And then now I have to move on to the advanced. So I got to freshen up with my intermediate to move on to the advanced and then go to the expert, which I plan to do by the end of this year. You know what I'm saying? But what I've done is that, you know, if anybody's interested in learning the language, if you go to my Patreon, you can actually go through the course for yourself at no cost, right? But it's up to y'all. You know, the Patreon is www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. So we have that and tons of other resources on there. I got like 30 other sources that help you with the Hebrew. And then, you know, I would pick up books on Hebrew here and there. So if you sign up on Patreon, you get to see all of those books. You know what I'm saying? Because there's different books that give you different angles on how to learn, and it depends on how you like to learn. But that's how I learned it, right? I'm self-taught, but I guess if you want to count the university as formal teaching, I guess you can count that as formal teaching. But that's how I learned the language, all right? And that's why I had to go back and read things back in the original language to make sure that the translations were correct. And that's when I realized a lot of these translations are not accurate. Some places they are, some places they're just not accurate. And it depends. You can have a truly formal equivalency translation or a dynamic equivalency translation. I prefer more formal, right? But people who don't know the original language is being translated from may get hemmed up, especially when they don't understand idioms and other things like that. Okay. All right. So now he's bringing up Gideon, and he wants to know, why was Gideon's name changed, right? All right. So let's get Judges 6:32. All right, and after this, I'm gonna take other questions from other people. All right, if you want to join the panel, let me know. All right. So Derayahu says, what's your take on Amos 4, chapter 4, verses 4-6, and the Masoretic text versus the LXX? Okay, I could do that. We can look at that as well. But there was another question before you that I'm gonna take a look at. All right. So Roe the chef says, whenever you get a chance, I need an explanation of Isaiah 9:6. Are you saying that because you're looking at Isaiah 9:6, where it says the mighty God, that means that messianic figure is the Most High? I hope if that's where you're going, then I know where you're getting at. And remember, I told y'all several times before that the king of Israel was considered a god or a power, right? I don't like the word God, but I use it because that's what people are familiar with. But he was a power. You know, when you go to Hebrews 1, where it says, your throne, oh God, well, you know, they're quoting that from Psalms, where it's talking about the king of Israel. The king of Israel is considered a power. And if the messianic figure comes from the lineage of David, then he's going to inherit that godship, or he's going to inherit that authority or that power, so that he can be called the mighty God. So that's not nothing that usurps the creator. That's not something that teaches a trinity or anything like that. So if that's what you're referring to, my brother, let me know. And hopefully that begins to answer that question. You know what I'm saying? So we can deal with that. All right. Roy, you said that was the rebuttal to me saying there's no Trinity. All right. Hey, Yisrael, you said you want to join the panel? Sure. Let me bring you on, my brother. Hold on. I'll drop the link right in the chat. Let's do the open panel right now. I'll do the open panel. Let's do the open panel. Let me take as many questions as I can. Let me interact. Let's go through it together as a team, as a family, right? There's no enemies here. So King Anubis, I was working on that. So I know you follow me, but you probably never heard me mention it. Somebody asked me this like 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I said I was working on a translation of the Torah, the Chumash, the first 5 books of the Tanakh, and also the Sefer, or the book of Matthew, right? So those were 6 books that I was working on doing my own translation with other individuals who are studied in the language, right? People in academia that was assisting and helping me. With me leading the project, because I was starting to fund it. But it's a very intense and immense project, and I had to put it down. I might pick it up at the end of the year and start on it again little by little, but it takes a lot of time. So Avarai says, you dropped the jewel. I didn't know that about the kings of Israel. Yeah, so let's go to it. While y'all join in, let's go to it. Because what people try to do, right? I'm gonna show you guys this. Let me show you guys this, right? Let me show you this. Right, when people look here in Hebrews chapter 1, right? It says, long ago, at many times and in many ways, the Supreme spoke to our fathers by the prophets, but in these last days, he spoke to us by his Son, whom he had put in the air of all things, in whom he also created. No, the word there is aion. The word there is ages, not cosmos, ages. But you see, when you have the liberty to do your translations, you can put the word world there. That's neither here nor there. Let's jump down. Watch this. Okay. It says, for which of the angels did the power ever say, you are my son, today I have begotten you? Again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be my son. And again, when he brings the firstborn into the world, he says, let all the powers worship him. Of the angels, he says, he makes his angels winds, his ministers flames of fires. But watch this. But of the Son, he says, your throne, O power, is forever and ever. The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. Now, that verse right there, what you see, where do you guys think that that's from? It's obviously not from the New Testament, original to the New Testament, because if it was, you would not have any quotations there. When you have a quotation, that means it's being repeated from another source, right? So let's go back and let's take a look to see what is that source that this is coming from. Okay, so the source for that's coming from in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8 is Psalm 45 and 6. So let's go to Psalm 45 and 6. And I'm going to read that verses 1 to verse 6. Let me bring it up on the screen. Right? Scroll up. It says, to the choir master, according to Lilies and Maskil of the sons of Korah, a love song. My heart overflows with a pleasing theme. I address my verses to the king. Wait, hold on. Wait, let's go back. To the choir master, according to Lilies, a Maskil of the sons of Korah, a love song. My heart overflows with a pleasing theme. I address my verses to the king. Okay. My tongue is like the pen of a ready scribe. You are the most handsome of the sons of men. Grace is poured upon your lips. Therefore, God has blessed you forever. Gird your sword on your thigh, O mighty one, in your splendor and majesty. This is talking about the king. In your majesty, ride out victoriously for the cause of truth and meekness and righteousness. Let your right hand teach you awesome deeds. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies. The peoples fall under you. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is the scepter of uprightness. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. Your robes are all framed with myrrh and aloes and cassia. From ivory palaces, string instruments make you glad. Daughters of kings are among your ladies of honor. In your right hand stands the queen in gold of Ophir. Your throne, O God. This is being addressed to the king. The king was considered a power because he is the fullness of the representation of the majesty and might of the patron deity of these people. So he is looked at as a deity, same way we see in other ancient Near Eastern cultures, whether it's the Sumerian kings, the Babylonian kings, and this is why they have their myths to justify why the king is the representative of the powers or the Elohim. Same thing in ancient Misraim or Kemet or Egypt. the king himself, the Nisut BT, he was considered also a god on the earth. This is ancient Eastern culture. So unless you understand Psalms, you're going to misinterpret what you find in the book of Hebrews. Yes, the king was considered a god. That's it. Nothing unique there in the Old Testament. I mean, the New Testament is coming from here. That's where it's coming from. All right. So hopefully that helped you, my brother Averys, that you said you didn't know that. But yes, that's it right there. The king was considered a god. It's very clear. And he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you. Yes, he has anointed him. Now, the king that's referenced here more than likely was King David. And I went over the sonship with y'all before, where he was inducted into the sonship. Okay. All right. What's up, my brother? Hello?
What's up, man?
You there? What's going on, King?
I'm good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you here? Oh, Yisrael, is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, so where you want to go next? What was the other one you talking about? You said Judges chapter 6?
Yeah, I think it was Judges chapter 6, and it was like second book of Samuel.
Oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay, Judges. Wow, what's going on? Judges 6. There we go. All right, Judges 6. All right, and what verse?
Let me see.
I've been over this before in the past.
632.
So I'm gonna explain. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you why his name was changed and why he has that name. All right, but before I explain that, just remember, up here, who is Gideon fighting?
Who's
he fighting? I have it highlighted.
You have it
on
highlighted?
The screen. Yeah, on the
Midian.
screen. You see
That's
it? Midian. Yeah. All right. He's fighting against Midian. Now, who was the one of the chief deities that was in Canaan at this time? Was Baal, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the Midianites, they would have been, or the ones that they were fighting against. Because remember, Midian was not against Israel initially, right? Because Jethro was a Midianite, right?
I get that.
Yeah. So, but some of them that were in the land, they started to worship after Baal, right? So now, when it comes to people fighting, it's almost like political parties, right? When political parties clash, it's the Democrats versus the Republicans, right? And then you have an elephant that represents one party and a donkey that represents the other party, right?
Correct.
Right. So in the ancient times, the deities represented the peoples, and as the peoples fought, that would be symbolic of the deities also fighting against each other. So if Gideon is fighting against the Midianites, and these Midianites are serving Baal, and he overcomes them, then his name that he's changing, or the name that they give him, is going to be representative of an event that occurred in his livelihood that I would guess defines his character. And that's what we're going to see that happens, right? So Judges chapter 6. And remember, all of this is about Midianites putting the Israelites into not captivity, but overpowering them and, taking things from them, etc. Right?
Correct.
So if we go down further, Gideon is called, right? It says, now the angel of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh came and sat under the terebinth at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash, the Abizarite, while his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress to hide it from the Midianites, right? Because the Midianites was taking their crops. And the angel of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh appeared to him and said to him, Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh be with you, O mighty man of valor, right? And Gideon said to him, please, my Lord, if Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh is with us, why then has all this happened? And where are all the wonderful deeds that our fathers recounted to us, saying, did not Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh bring us up out of Egypt? But now Yah has forsaken us and given us into the hand of Midian. And Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh turned to him and says, go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian, and do not I send you, right? And he said to him, please, Adonai, how can I save Israel? Behold, now watch this. You see this word here for clan? That's the same word that's used for 1,000 when we're looking at Exodus chapter 12. The verse escapes me. I can't believe I forgot the verse, but where it comes to a numerical form, and it should really be translated as clans, right? And I did a whole lecture on this, but that's something interesting to look at, right? But look at verse 16, and we're going to jump down further. And Yohei says, but I will be with you, and you shall what? Strike the Midianites as one man, right? So then he goes and he needs proof that this is going to be true. So he tests, this malach, this angel, or melech, excuse me, this angel, right? And then all of this stuff is happening. All this stuff happening. Beginning now further. Now watch this. Gideon destroys the altar of Baal. When the men of the town rose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was broken down, and the Asherah beside it was cut down, and the second bull was offered on the altar that had been built. Now the Asherah is a grove, is a tree grove, all right, or it was a pole that was made out of a tree grove, right? And they said one to another, who has done this thing? And after they have searched and inquired, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, has done this thing. Then the men of the town said to Joash, bring out your son that he may die, for he has broken down the altar of Baal and cut down the Asherah beside it. Now look at this. What did he just do? He destroyed an altar to Baal, correct?
Correct.
Now watch verse 31. Look at verse 31. But Joash said to all who stood against him, who will contend for Baal? Or will you save him? Whoever contends for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, let him contend for himself, because his altar has been broken down. Now watch this, verse 32. Therefore, so before you get to the therefore, you gotta get the context, because the therefore is connected by a prerequisite context, which is the verses right above it. So the actions that took place is what's defining his name, because of an act that he has performed. This was something that was very common in the ancient Near East. If I go and I destroy the Asherah grove that people are worshiping, then my name can be renamed to something that demonstrates the act that I did, that I became known for or renowned for. Therefore, on that day, Gideon was called Jerubbaal, right? That is to say, what? Let Baal contend against him. And it says, because he broke down his altar. It gives you the answer right there. You didn't even have to go in, right? So that's why his name was changed. Oh, that's nothing to do with Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh being Baal, because if you're looking at this, you can say this is a theophoric name, right? Theophoric name is any name that has the deity's name or some kind of attribute or some kind of action. And the reason for it is because if you call that person's name, you're invoking an attribute of that deity. And then that attribute is there to exemplify that person's character, right? So Jerubbaal, which we see in this case, he was called that because of an act that he performed, which showed that he contended against who? Against Baal. Just like when you see Israel, real quick, and I'll let you build. Jacob, his name was changed to what? Israel. Why? Right. Because he contended. He wrestled with God. There you go.
Wrestled with God. I read that far with Jerubbaal, but in Samuel 11, Second Samuel 11.
Let me bring it up.
21.
2 Samuel 11:21. All right, go ahead.
His name is not Jerubbaal anymore. It's Besheth for short. I'm trying to figure out what happened, what transpired for his name to change. I know his name is Gideon.
Wait, so you read 2 Samuel chapter 11 and show me the context for Gideon.
You want me to show you the context for Gideon?
Yeah, because you said that this was Gideon's name, right?
Yes.
Jerubesheth, you said that's representing Gideon. So let's read it. Read it for me, the context, and show me where this is referring to Gideon.
All right. I'm pulling it up. It's kind of slow on my laptop right now.
What'd you say?
So I'm pulling the verse. The
okay, yeah. Go ahead. You got it. I want to say shout out to my brother Seth in the building. Milka Israel, what's going on? Zadik Komar, what's going on? Get my brother James, DB, what's going on? And I see what you guys are saying, but me and my brother Vaughn, we're gonna build for a little bit. But I want him to show me Gideon in these verses here.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out how to show the screen because I'm working on 2 different screens. But right here, I see in the footnotes, this is where I made the assumption Because when I read in the
Okay.
footnotes, it says also known as Jerubbaal. This is Gideon. So that's where I got that from.
So it says, who killed Abimelech, right? Abi means my father. Melech is king, right? That's what
But
that name means, right?
what are you reading
And
at
then it
right
says,
now? You reading on your screen, so
verse 21,
tell me.
2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 21.
Okay, I see.
And it says the son of Jerubisheth, right? So
Right.
this is the name Jerubisheth here. This is talking about who killed Abimelech, the son of Jerubisheth. So are we saying that the son of Gideon killed Abimelech? Or is just another name for another person that's similar to Gideon's name? This has nothing to do with Gideon here.
I mean, I can agree with that. There's something that has to be changed. If the name is not Jerubbaal, this has to be a different person. But
This is
somebody
a
brought
different.
this. Yeah, somebody brought this to me. Then when I went and looked at the footnotes of the same verse, I guess you can't really trust in the footnotes because
Well, it depends, because critical edition Bibles, they add footnotes based on, and the footnote can be several things. It can be, number one, a reference to a textual variant, which means there may be another manuscript that says something slightly different. So the footnote is showing you that. Number two, it could be some kind of notation to bring awareness to something in a verse. Sometimes it could be variants in names or variants in places, right? That's again found in other manuscripts or maybe an archaeological site or something like that that they added. But it's different from critical edition, right? So if you're saying the footnote of which translation are you looking at?
I'm looking at the NIV right now.
Okay, so now you're looking at the NIV. So let's see if we bring the NIV up, and let's see if we can get that footnote that you're looking at.
So the footnote I'm looking for is on biblica.com.
Yeah, well, I have it here on the screen. You see the screen right here?
Yeah, you're reading on this. It's like the Blue Letter Bible.
Yeah. So it says, who killed Abimelech, son of Jerubesheth, and it says footnote, also known as Jerubbaal, that is Gideon. All right.
Right.
So what is the context of why they added that footnote? I'd have to look into it further, because I have other Bibles that also make references to a name like this. But if we're going to talk about the actual context, this has nothing to do with Gideon. Now, it can say that the names could be interchangeable, right?
Okay,
But this is not
Gideon
himself, right? Yeah, so this is not Gideon himself. So remember, Gideon's name was changed because of an act of defiance that he's done against Baal, right? By desecrating the Baal altar and cutting it down, so much so that that act was like an act of treason, an act of war or whatever. So his name was changed to that, and he was known for that. That had nothing to do with Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh having anything to do with Baal. There's no connection there with that, right?
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I understand that. I was just coming to you just for clarification, just for edification. And then when I seen that Jerubbaal name, I thought his name changed to Besheth, and I know Besheth means shame, Hebrew, I think. So I was trying to figure out what, like, if you understood where in the Bible or where in the Torah or any place did this transaction happen. Like, when did his name go from Jerubbaal to Jerubasheth?
Correct. And again, it wasn't him. It's another character altogether.
Yeah, I get that. Now I understand that. Now talking to you, you made that clear. I was just trying to find out.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for it. But I appreciate it, man. I'm not trying to challenge you. I know, like, you
no,
one
brother.
of the top
Listen.
guys,
You know how we do here. It's okay to challenge. That's how we learn. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to fail. It's okay to agree and disagree. It's cool. Even if you did disagree, I just want to know. My thing is just prove it to me, right? Because you can change my mind. I'm open to it, right? But that's why I say it's a good thing to do two things: read context, and then at least do a word study. If you can't get directly or deep into the language, at least look at the words. And if you're gonna look at the words, don't go to a Strong's Concordance. Go to an actual lexicon, and I can send some to you for free, right? Because a lexicon is going to be weightier than the Strong. The Strong's Concordance is dated, is very old. A more modern day lexicon is going to be much better because there's been more data of knowledge in regards to, I would say, Semitic languages, that we have more information today to better understand words or the semantic value or the meaning of certain words than we did during the King James period, right? Not King James, during Strong's period, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I said don't strong is not bad all the time, but is old, right? So
Yeah.
I give you an example, right? Even if we're looking at this, so let's say we're looking at this and you wanted to get a better lexicon, what I would do is like click on where it says tools here, and I will go where it gives you the Strongs, right here. But what you want to do is scroll down, get to the Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon. Now, this is an old lexicon. The reason why Blue Letter Bible is using it is because it's in the public domain, which means anybody can use it for free without any copyright issues or publishing issues, anything like that. That's why they have it here, right? But then there's other ones you can use that's a little bit better. So that there's a BDB. If you go to BibleHub.com, the BDB, the Brown Driver Briggs, is another lexicon. And then you have other ones like the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament, which is the Halot lexicon. Then the other one that I like is the the Dictionary of Classical Hebrew, right? And then there's another one you can get is the Database of Biblical Languages, Hebrew Domain of Biblical Languages, DBL Hebrew, which is another good one that you can get with the Logos application, or you can get it elsewhere, purchase it from their website. But if you need any of those, it would be much better in giving you more information, right? Now, if we read here with this one, it says, yeah, this is Yod, Sheva, Resh, this is Kibbutz, Yerub, and then you have your B and your Bait, and you have your Patak underneath, and then you have your Dagesh in the middle, Yerub Baal, right? And this is what you was referring to, right? Because here it says in Strong's, Yeru Besheth from H7378, H1322, shame, i.e., the idol will contend. Jeru Besheth, a symbolic name, it says for Gideon, Jeru Besheth, right? So what they're doing is they're making a connection between Jeru Baal and Jeru Besheth, right? And if you look here, it says, contrary from Yarib Baal, with whom Baal contends. See, Judges 6:32, a cognomen, right? So nomen means name, cog means similar, right? A
So
similar name.
similar name.
Uh-huh. The
Okay.
judge of Israelites, for which there is Yerub Beshet, right? With
Okay.
whom the idol contains, contends, excuse me, right? Then it gives you 2 Samuel 11:22. Then the LXX, it gives you the equivalent in LXX, which is the Septuagint, and it tells you the other two names to compare it to. So again, in that context, it's not talking about Gideon himself, because Gideon's son did not kill Abimelech, because that would be several hundred years off, right?
Yeah.
It's just saying that there's a similarity between those two names, because one means one who contends with Baal, and Yeru Beshet means with whom the idol contends. So there's a cognomen, there's a similar naming there, scheme there. So it can be interchanged with each other. That's pretty much what they're saying, right?
So it's
So
sort of like how you got Joseph who went to Egypt, and later on down the line, you have Joseph, Christ's father, and all that. So just
correct.
different names for different people. It's a similar name. Okay.
Correct. Or it could be a play on a similar name, right? Because of how it's used. So if I say one who contends against Baal, but Baal, who Gideon contended against, was an idol or an altar that he cut down. So that means you can pretty much interchange the two names, right? But
Yeah.
again, in the context, so this is just going into the naming scheme of what's called onomastics, actually studying the name itself, right? But outside of just studying the name itself, looking in the context, it has nothing to do with Gideon, right? It's just a similar name that can be interchanged with Gideon's name, Yerub-Baal. That's all,
All right,
right?
brother.
And let me show you something else that's really interesting, right? So when you look at Yisrael, or Israel, or whatever the case may be, the
Mm-hmm.
contending element is there too, right? Yod Resh. You see Yod Resh here, right? And in the Israel is Yod Shin Resh. And then you have the suffix L, which could be, a theophoric name, which is the name of the deity. In this case of a Yuru Baal, it's Baal, which is the deity, and Beshet can mean an idol. But it's the same thing in their mind. Like they also saw Baal as the chief idol that was in the land of Canaan, right? So that's all it means, my brother. I'm not saying, again, when I talk, this is just how I talk, right? I mean well, right? I'm not here to fight, challenge, argue, unless somebody wants to take it there. I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, it's just about a common understanding. If I don't know everything, if somebody brings something to me that I haven't studied yet or haven't looked at the angle, I welcome it, right? Because that's how I learn. And that's why I tell people, even if you disagree, you can still learn something, right? If you're willing to be a student first, right? But because I've already studied this, because I've had GOCC members come to me and argue this with me, I've studied it thoroughly so I can respond back to them. So I already knew the scriptures you was getting at because I've had GOC members, confront me with it.
Yeah, and I got the same thing, and I was just trying to find, because I just got into the truth about 2 years ago. So I'm still studying and trying to build myself up. But thank you for the build. It's been great. No problem. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Do you have any other question before I let you go, my brother?
Are you aware of the Gnostic texts? Like, have you studied those?
The what?
The Gnostic texts.
You said Nazi?
Gnostic, like GNOSTIC.
Oh, the Gnosis text.
Yeah, Gnosis
like text. Gnostic. Yes. The what you call it?
The Nag Hammadi.
Correct, Nag Hammadi. Those are all a corpus of Gnostic texts. But yes, I know who the Gnostics are. I know what their angle is. I've read church fathers who spoke about them, right? Because the root word there is to know, and that's where gnosis comes from. That's where you get your word knowledge from, right? And they're if we're going to simplify their doctrine, it's pretty much that the flesh is bad and the spirit is good, right? So this is a theme that you'll see in their works. But yes, I've read the Nag Hammadi library. I actually have 2 versions of it.
Okay. I was bringing that up to go deeper into the Yada Both. I think that's how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been in arguments, like trying to, defend my belief and everything with my knowledge. Mm-hmm. It's not just belief. But people are comparing this person to Yahweh. Well, not person, but an entity. And this could be a myth altogether.
Correct.
But since you read this, I was trying to figure out what leads could I take to go into further details of further studies. Like, could you open that up for me?
I would say you'd have to look at the experts that has thoroughly studied this library. So I have some commentary where they actually go in depth about that. So what I would say is email it to me, email me the request, and I'll attach the reference for you, and you can do your research from me. Yeah.
Thought about emailing you because it's a extensive conversation. But
not for me. I'm open to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you talk to other people, they'd be like, try to shut it down. But I'm open to it, right? If it's something that has come up in our community or somebody has studied, let's address it. Let's put it under scrutiny and let's see if it holds up.
Yeah, I come to you because I seen you do this 4-part study on Yahweh and El, how Yahweh was the the muscle for God. Yeah. So I thought you would understand that. So that's why I came to you about that. But
yeah, no problem, my brother. Yeah, cool. All right. So like I said, email me, kingdomharunj@gmail.com. If you don't remember it, it'll be in the description of this video. Send me that request. I'll send you whatever material I have on Nag Hammadi so that you can read it for yourself. And hopefully it'll put you on the path of better understanding that particular character to see if there's any affinities to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, right? Because again, like I said, I've heard these arguments before, and it's just, the people who make them, they just find little things and they make a doctrine out of it instead of fully understanding the context, right? And I just try to give the tools, to help people build a better understanding. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to give you the tools and let you find out for yourself.
That's all I need, man. That's all I need. Thank you, man.
Anytime, King. All right, man. You're welcome on the show anytime, but make sure you email me after this, okay?
For sure. I'm about to get on it right now.
All right. Shalom, King. All right. I see Dirayahu, you're in the background. So give me 1 second. I know there's some questions here, so I'm gonna bring you on last, Dirayahu, right? Because you be getting some deep stuff with me, so I'm gonna keep you last. Okay, so let me just see what other questions is out here. So Roe the chef, you brought up Isaiah 9:6. So Roe, what I want to understand from you is the reasoning for you bringing this up is what? Tell me why you bringing this up, because what most people will say is this part here, mighty God. And I already explained, like the text here says, and the government will be on his shoulders. That means whoever this messianic character is going to be, keep reading, of the greatness of his government and peace of reading, he will reign on what? David's throne, and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. Remember, whoever's sitting on the throne of David is going to be considered a god like David was. I got into Psalm 45. Right. So I just simply want to know what did you want to bring out here? Because I know a lot of Christians try to use this to say, oh, see, Jesus is God. And well, technically, when this was being written, it had nothing to do with Jesus. That is a later application. This has nothing to do with Jesus right now. It's speaking prophetically because they didn't give you a name of who this child was. OK, so if the part that's tripping people up is mighty God, it shouldn't trip you up, because that's what the king is called. The king is called God. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that answers your question, my brother. And let me know if that answered it enough, Roe, or if you want to have further inquiries. But let me know if that helped to address that for you. Again, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button, share the video, hit subscribe. And also remember, the after party goes down 24/7, 365 on our Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. All right. All right. So hopefully that answers your question, Roy. Let me know. Right. Jump in the chat and let me know. All right. So Meek for Real says, is the Talmud a racist and anti-Semitic book towards Yeshua and the 12 tribes of Israel? Well, when you say racist, what do you mean? Are there elements of the Talmud that is against Yeshua? Yes, I brought this out in an entire lecture. Do me a favor, Mick, for real. Go to my lecture. It's called Capital Punishment. Capital Punishment, Human Atonement for the wow. I just getting tongue twisted on this. I'm gonna drop it in the chat for you. Hold on. Let me drop it in the chat for you real quick. It's called Capital Punishment, Human Sacrifice for the Atonement of Sin in the Bible. All right. And for people who say that the Most High does not require human sacrifices, they just don't understand the text. And then I'll debate that with anybody. I've done that already before. Okay. But anyway, so there it is right there for you, Mike, for real. Check that out. If you watch the last 20 minutes, I talk about the Talmud and references in the Talmud against Yeshua. Okay, but it also validates him, right? So that's it. Link right there. I personally have looked into the Talmud. I've studied things in the Talmud. I use it as a point of reference, but it's not something that I hold dear to at all. Not at all. I look at it as something that's historical, good points of reference, but that's about it. Nehemiah says, DP, did Cain's seed survive the flood? Well, give me a verse and let's deal with it. Right? Give me the verse and let's deal with it. Okay. Throw the verse up there and let's deal with it. So King Anubis says, so you don't believe in the Trinity? No, I do not subscribe to the Trinity. Right? He says, and again, King Anubis, I have videos on here. I have a video called The Trinity on Trial. Check that out. And then I don't know if you're a Patreon member, but my Patreon members, they get access to the lesson I did on the Trinity, where there were these ex-Christians who identify now as Israelites. And what I was doing was educating them on the Trinity, right? The concept, the theological implications, the provenance of it, the idea, everything like that. You know, I went into detail about it and everything. So no, I don't agree with it. He says, Falca, if we don't believe, how do we explain what the Holy Spirit is in rank, for lack of a better term? Well, I don't know that the Holy Spirit has a rank. I've never seen that anywhere in the text where it gave the Holy Spirit a rank, right? So I know you said for lack of a better term, but I've not seen there. Now, if you want to say rank as in a point where in the book of Yachanan, where Yeshua says that he must go so that the Parakletos, or the one that's elected to be close, which is the comforter, right? Or the Ruach HaKodesh, in reference to that, saying that it's subject to Yeshua because his name, his authority needs to be invoked in order for the Ruach to move. So if you want to say in that sense of rank, just like some Trinitarians would say, yeah, Jesus in the flesh was the Son, and his rank and office as the Son was subservient to the Father while he was in the flesh, but God the Son, right, and the person of Jesus, that essence of God and the person of Jesus was co-equal and co-eternal to the Father. It's just that in the redemption process, the economic Trinity, it had a subservient role. This is how Trinitarians would try to excuse it. And I'm saying all of that is done. It's done. And I'll debate that. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem with that. So King Nubi says the Most High demands human sacrifice. Yeah, he does. He does. Matter of fact, he even told a king to give him a body, to give him some sacrifices. And if you go back and watch Capital Punishment, I go into a lot of those references, but that reference that I just said about the Most High requiring a king to give him a body, a human body for a sacrifice, I didn't add that into that lecture. It was an oversight, crazy oversight. But I didn't add it into that lecture, but I have enough in that lecture to show you that the Most High requires human sacrifice. So when people say that, I just, the term cherem, right? Cherem. Look at the term cherem, right? Chet resh mem. And look at that cognate in Moabite, because you'll see it also in the Moabite stele. It's there. That concept cherem or cherem, that is your sacrifice. That's required by the deity. Deities require that sacrifice of cherem. Whatever's been set apart for destruction is a human sacrifice. And in cases, it could be spoils of war, and it could be people. So the Most High does require bodies. If somebody sins, right? Like we have a situation with Yehoshua and Achan. If one person sins by doing something they're not supposed to do, then guess what? That sin permeates into the entire community. And then the Most High says, in order for the community to be avenged of the Most High's wrath, they have to kill that person. That is a human sacrifice. You have to give up that body for death, so that way sin can be atoned for and removed from the camp. That's human sacrifice. So King Anubi says, what is the Holy Spirit in regards to God? The Holy Spirit is an extension of Yah. It's an extension of him. It's considered like the holy arm in the hand. That's the connection right there. The Ruach is how it's like, think about it, his hand, for lack of a better word, that's moving and making things happen. That spirit can also manifest into a messenger and give messages. The spirit can also go into people. It can go on to people. That's what it is. And Sign of the Time TV issue said the Holy Spirit is the female energy part of the Most High. The Holy Spirit helped create the Messiah. Now, Sign of the Times TV HQ, I don't know if I fully agree with that, my brother. But we can talk about that. Yeah, avarice. He accept bodies. He accept bodies. JD Israel said the Holy Ghost equals messengers. Example, Gabriel. Don't know if I agree with that either, but you're welcome to come on here and have a talk about it. But Nehemiah, you students, send me the verse. Let me see the verse. Send me the verse so we can find out about this Cain seed surviving. Let's deal with the verse. All right. Zadik Kolmar says Isaiah 43:11, Isaiah 44:6 is enough as it pertains to the order of things. Okay. Myron Henderson says, is 1 Corinthians 10:1-3 addressing Israelites only? All right, let's get that. 1 Corinthians 10:1. Right? For I do not want you to be ignorant of the fact, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud, and that they all passed through the sea. They were all baptized into Moshe in the cloud and in the sea. They all ate the same spiritual food and drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. So verse 1, where it says, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud. Well, that's an excellent question. That could be him addressing Israelites. Or you got to remember, there was a mixed multitude, right? There was a great mixture that was with them, okay? And they consisted of non-Israelites. So could he be saying that to encompass everybody that was there at Corinth, which would have been Israelites and non-Israelites? Or some people say that Paul was actually writing to northern tribe Israelites, and that's why he would be saying ancestors here. We can get into the different angles on that as well. So just let me know. But Paul said himself in Galatians chapter 2 that he was given the right hand of fellowship to go to the uncircumcised. That's what he said. That was his mission. So depends on how we look at it, right? Yeah, so Avarice, I have that in that lecture. So check that lecture out too when you get a chance. But yeah, let's take a look where the Most High wanted a human sacrifice. Let's find it. Let's get it. All right, let's bring it up here. All right, here it go. You ready? You ready? Are you ready for the sacrifice? You're gonna see where the Most High wanted a body. So give me this body. I want this body right here. Give me this body. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 23 and 20. Now, there's a prelude to this, but let's go up, right? Let's go up. All right. Let's go up. Now, this is Josiah now, right? A righteous king. Right? This is him renewing a covenant, right? It says here, he did away with the idolatrous priests appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense on the high places of the towns of Judah and on those around Jerusalem, those who burn incense to Baal, to the sun and the moon, and to the constellations, to all the starry hosts. He took the Asherah pole from the temple of Yod-Heh-Waveh to Kidron Valley outside of Jerusalem and burned it there. He ground it to powder and scattered the dust over the graves of the common people. He tore down the quarters of the male shrine prostitutes. Look at that. Male shrine prostitutes. Pause. That were in the temple of Yod-Heh-Waveh, the quarters where women did weaving for Asherah. Josiah brought all the priests from the towns of Judah and desecrated the high places from Geba to Beersheba, where the priests had burned incense. All right. Although the priests of high places did not serve on the altar of Yod-Heh-Waveh in Jerusalem, they ate unleavened bread with their fellow priests. Right. He desecrated Topeth, which was in the valley of Ben Hinnom. Oh, there's hell right here. That's hell. That's where I'm gonna go. I told you I'm gonna go vacation there. Go vacation in hell. Okay. All right. I'm just saying. All right. So these are all things he's doing. Pull down the altars of Judah. The king also desecrated a high place. He smashed the sacred stones, cut down the Asherah poles, even the altar of Bethel. Then Josiah looked around when he saw the tombs that were on the hillside. He had the bones removed from them and burned them on the altar to defile in accordance with what? The word that the Yod-Heh-Waveh proclaimed by the man of God who foretold these things. The king asked, what is this tombstone? Blah, blah, blah. Leave it alone. Just he had done in Bethel. Now watch this. Josiah, what? Slaughtered all the priests of the high places on the altars and burned human bones on them. Then he went back to Jerusalem. Now, this is the most important thing that we have to look at. The question is, we try to use that word slaughtered there, right? The Hebrew word there is zebach. What does zebach mean? Zebach mostly relates to an animal being slaughtered, ritually for sacrifice. So it should be he sacrificed all the priests of those high places on the altars and burned human bones on them. Then he went back to Jerusalem, because that's what zebach is. It is a human. It's a sacrifice from an animal that is slaughtered. You'll see that almost every place where zebach is used, it's talking about an animal being slaughtered for sacrifice, ritual killing of an animal for sacrifice. Now you have this being done to humans. Now, here's the question. Was this sanctioned? Because that would be the next question. Was this sanctioned? Well, it says here, let's see. Hold on. Got rid of the medium spiritus. Josiah was a king like him who turned, watch this, neither before or after Josiah was there a king like him who turned to Yod-Heh-Waveh as he did with all his heart and all his soul and all his strength in accordance with all the law of Moses. What? Did y'all just read that? So let's get it in Chronicles. Let's go to Chronicles. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 34 and verse 5. Right? Right? 34. I put 4 by accident. 34. There we go. All right. Let's start up here. All right. Let's read this. Watch this. Verse 1. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. He did what was right. Listen to what we're reading at here. He did what was right in the eyes of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh and followed the ways of his father Dawid, not turning to the left or right. You hear this? He was on that straight and narrow path. He followed the Torah, and he did everything that was right in the eyes of Yah. In the 8th year of his reign, while he was still young, he began to seek the Most High for his father David. In the 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem of the high places. Under his direction, the altars of the Baals were torn down, and he cut to pieces the incense altars that were above them and smashed the Asherah poles and the idols. These he broke to pieces and scattered over the graves of those who had sacrificed to them. He burned the bones of the priests on their altars, and so he purged Judah and Jerusalem. Now, why is he sacrificing them? Now, this is not on the altar of the temple of Yah. No, but these are Zabak killings, sacrificial killings of humans. And he did what was right in the sight of the Most High. Somebody said no sound. I don't know. Can y'all hear me? Hit 1 if y'all can hear me. Hit 1 if y'all can hear me. Hit 1 if y'all can hear me. Just wait. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Hit 1 if y'all can hear me. Somebody's saying that there's no sound. Or maybe that's his issue. Maybe that is Derayahu's issue. Can y'all hear me? Hit 1. Okay, y'all say you can hear me? Okay, got it. Well, you can't sacrifice something that's already dead. A zabak killing the animal has to be alive, and you have to slaughter the animal. Okay. All right. You say you can hear me. All right. Cool. Yeah. StreamYard was a delay, so I don't know what's going on. All right. So, I'll get into that further. But what I would suggest is the link that I posted above. Click on that link that I posted above, and you can watch the entire lecture. Capital punishment, human sacrifice for the atonement of sin in the Bible. Check that lecture out. Okay. So let me move on to other points, because there's other things I want to go into on this where Yah is telling them to do this. He's given the instruction for these priests to be sacrificed. Yah's the one giving the instruction for this to be done. What Josiah is doing is prophesied. Yah prophesied that this is what he's going to be doing. All right. So there's more questions y'all have. So let me try to get as many questions out the way as I can. All right. So let me see what else y'all saying in here. All right. So Dante DeSal says, Shalom, brother. Do you subscribe to the Lashawan Kadesh language? Could you provide why or why not you do? Todah, brother. All right. So I don't subscribe to the Lashawan Kadash. There's other Israelites that do in our community, typically One West Israelites or One West Israelites that become Torah only Israelites that subscribe to Lashawan Kodesh. They say that's the original Hebrew, because they say original Hebrew did not have vowels. Well, that can't be true, because, if you only have an A-class vowel, then what do you do with ayin? Like in the name Yahweh Shai. Where did the I come from? If there's only A-class vowels, you're adding a second vowel class there, which is the I-class vowel. Right? So I don't subscribe to Lashawan Kodesh. And the main reason why is because there's no way you can grammatically parse any verse, any chapter, let alone a verse, without being able to find out the understanding the conjugation of verbs and verbs as opposed to nouns. I give you an example. Masha and Lashawan Kadash means Moses, is the name for Moses. Well, what is the verb to draw in Lashawan Kadash? What's the word to draw? And is there any emphatics in the verb form? So in Hebrew, you have several verb forms. You have your Kal stem, your Nephal stem, your Hitfil stem, your Hitpayel stem, right? You have several verb stems in Hebrew, right? Based on the context. And the diacritic marks has preserved that. That's for part of what's called the Tiberian vocalization system, which is a vocalization system that was preserved in the Masoretic text, okay? But again, you have to figure out how can you parse verbs and make them distinct from nouns. Okay. So again, I don't subscribe to Lashon Kodesh. Lashon Kodesh makes the Hebrew more accessible for Israelites coming into the truth. But my recommendation is to learn biblical or classical Hebrew. It is not Yiddish. Yiddish is a German language that uses Hebrew characters. It's not Hebrew at all. It is not classical Hebrew at all. All right. Yiddish is something totally different. Modern Hebrew is different from classical Hebrew. Mishnaic Hebrew, because you have Mishnaic Hebrew, right? That Hebrew is different too. Like you'll see differences in the Talmud for the Mishnah, for the Hebrew, or the Gemara. There's differences there as well. Then you have inscriptional Hebrew, which has some differences from biblical or classical Hebrew. Looking at inscriptions during the Iron Age period where the Israelites was there in the land, like the Shalom inscription, right? Then you have the Telarad letters, the Lachish letters. Okay, these are all inscriptional Hebrew. Okay. So you have the Babylonian vocalization and Tiberian vocalization, right? And Babylonian, Tiberian, and Jerusalem vocalizations. You got a Palestinian vocalization, right? And I've done a lesson on all of this where I explain all of this. Regardless of how it's vocalized, the diacritic marks preserves the grammar, right? That's important, understanding the grammar, all right? So again, even when you look at classical Arabic, it also has diacritic marks because it preserves the grammar. You know this, you understand this. So D Hoodie 24 said, what's a good basis to start studying classical Hebrew? Here you go. Get these items here. Or you can get the Zondervan Biblical Hebrew academic course. All right? Or if you want a Hebrew course, sign up for the Patreon, pledge $20 or more, and we give you an entire academic biblical Hebrew course on my Patreon. Right? So these are a good way to get started. All right? Get the Zondervan Biblical Hebrew academic course. You can get the language package online. You can get the digital version or whatever, but that's the best way for you to start. Okay? So King Anubis says, always heard Polite say there's no language called Hebrew. Would you debate him on that? Well, I have no problem having a discussion with him. Matter of fact, it's interesting that you say that. Shout out to my brother JD Israel for the donation. Anytime, King, I'm here to serve the people, man. That's why I'm up at 2-something in the morning where I could be doing other things, talking with y'all, right? Because I'm a servant to y'all. And I know a lot of people ask me questions. So I wanted to take this time to actually do that. So I appreciate the donation, my brother. All right. So yeah, I'll definitely. So King Anubis, it's interesting you say that. In 2015, I did the second part to my Hebrew language lecture on Sonata Studios. And guess who was there? Brother Polite. And Brother Polite, you'll see it because I have the video when me and him have a sit down. He says, man, when I saw that presentation, there's things that I learned from Divine. So I have no problem having a discussion with him on it because he already knows, you know, or already have sat in with me teaching Hebrew. Right. So if he wants to have that discussion, that's fine. But it's a nomenclature that was added to a particular language, right? That is discovered in an overarching Afro-Asiatic languages, which is the branch of Semitic, right? You have West Semitic. West Semitic would be your Moabite, your Ugaritic, your biblical, your Hebrew, which could be inscriptional Hebrew, biblical, classical Hebrew, and the book of Job preserves some of the more archaic Hebrew. That's why it's believed to be the earliest preserved portion of the text. Okay, so yeah, I'll have no problem having a discussion with him, and if he wanted to debate it, we can have a friendly debate on that. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. No problem with that. I'm very certain when it comes to this language. So we can have a discussion. I have no problem with that. All right. Shout out to Lav Judah in the building. Shalom. Let me see. Can you explain which period the Ashkenazi Jew became Jews? He says, are there any Ashkenazi that are not converts to Judaism and are authentic bloodline relative to the 12 tribes? Well, when you want to know when the Ashkenazi Jew became Jews, Ashkenaz was another name for Germany, right? Or a region in East Europe, okay, where these Jews were believed to have settled. Now, you asked me a question, and that question is, could some of them be authentic bloodline relatives to 12 tribes? Well, let me show you something that's really interesting, all right? Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Watch this. Let me show you something on the screen. Because that's a great question. Let me show you something. All right. Hopefully y'all can see my screen, but let me zoom in more. All right, there we go. Okay. Watch this. One of the greatest physicists of all time, Nobel Prize winner and discoverer of the special and general theory of relativity, Albert Einstein was born on March 14th, 1879 in Ulm, Germany, of secular Ashkenazi German Jewish parents. Einstein was observant for a time, but never had a bar mitzvah. A Jewish medical student and family friend, ironically named Max Talmud, introduced Einstein to science books, which Einstein saw as contradicting religious teachings. Einstein did not believe in the commonly accepted anthropomorphic conception of God. I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the harmony of all being, not in a God who concerns himself with the fate and actions of men, he wrote to a rabbi in 1929. Now, why am I showing you Albert Einstein? Why am I showing you Albert Einstein? Okay. Let's see why am I showing you Albert Einstein. All right. Albert Einstein. Let me see if I have, is he in here? There we go. Now watch this. Let me show this to you, okay? Let me zoom in, and I want to show this to you. Hopefully this helps. Let me know if this helps. Right? This is from the site called upedia.com/genetics/famous Y DNA by haplogroups, right? Here it says, the acclaimed theoretical physicist Albert Einstein is presumed to have belonged to Y haplogroup EZ830 based on the results from a patrilineal descendant of Naphtali Hirsch Einstein, Albert Einstein's great-grandfather. Approximately 20% of Ashkenazi Jews belong to haplogroup E1 B1B. See that? E1B1B. So what is the aDNA genetic marker for Israelites, ethnic Israelites? We don't have that data. So all we can do is best. We don't have any direct evidence. All we could do is best is propose circumstantial evidence. And what I'm simply saying is, we saw that this guy is an Ashkenazi Jew, right? But his parents were secular Jews, but they were Ashkenazi Jews. And his haplogroup is E1B1B. Interesting. This is really interesting. Really interesting. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Yeah, Adolf Hitler right here. Ronnie DeCorte A geneticist from the Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium tested relatives of Adolf Hitler and determined that the Fuhrer belonged to haplogroup E1B1B. Ironically, this haplogroup thought to be at the origin of Afro-Asiatic languages, which include the Semitic languages and peoples that Hitler despised so much. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Esau is E1B1B is Esau, right? I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. We can build a case for it, but or for or against it, but I can't say with certainty. But I'm just simply showing you this information. All right, I'm just simply showing you this information. Okay, so you can go research it. You know, it's up to you. All right. So, any other questions here? Somebody asks, is the Ruach, is wisdom the Holy Spirit? It's interesting that you asked that. I would say Chokmah and Ruach, which are both feminine singular nouns, could be one and the same. And I say that because when you read Proverbs chapter 8, Mishle 8, you'll see where, you know, this Chokmah is personified as a woman, and she says that I was a co-laborer with the Most High. So that could be the same one and the same thing. It could be one and the same thing. I'll tell you who it's not. It's not a pre-existent Yeshua or Jesus Christ or God the Son. It's not that. I will tell you that much. All right. So hopefully that helps. But anyway, I just wanted to show y'all that information. So you guys see that that's what the evidence shows. All right. Let me see. Yeah, so Elron Hike, he did. I actually mentioned him in a lecture I did in 2014. So yes, he did bring that information up, tracing him to what is now southern Russia. I agree. You're correct on that. All right. Derayahu, he said the Babylonian Hebrew dialect is biblical Hebrew. I would say it depends. You know, I know you're fond of the rabbinical traditions, and you know a lot of the rabbinate was there in Babylon. But I would contend with that and say I think it's Palestinian Hebrew vocalization. I think that is more original. You know, even when we look at the Jerusalem Talmud, I think that was written, you know, separate from the Babylonian Talmud. I think that preserves some elements of the original Hebrew. You know, we'd have to have a more in-depth conversation about that, but that's something that we can definitely chat about. D Hoodie 24 says, do you subscribe to the rapture? Heck to the no. I try to keep it PG. No, I don't subscribe to the rapture. The rapture is not a biblically based doctrine. Okay. John Nelson Darby wasn't even the one who started it. There was elements of it that came before him. Margaret McDonald had a vision about some rapture thing that he had heard of. You know what I'm saying? Then he started to build a doctrine around that. And then over here, Schofield, get the Schofield study by the original Schofield study Bible created in the 1900s, introduced the doctrine over here in America, while John Nelson Darby was over there in Europe. That doctrine is not historical. Nobody prior to him, even the church fathers, nobody ever hinted at some rapture. Nobody subscribed to that. They had a more historical approach in regards to interpreting eschatology. So the rapture is a bunch of garbage. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. It's not biblically based. And anybody that agrees with it, I would be willing to have a discussion or debate with you. Just let me know. No problem. We can bring it out, put it on the table. I was gonna tear that doctrine up anyway at some point. But if somebody wants to discuss it sooner, just let me know. Let me know. All right. So Zadik Koma says the book of the Essene Gospel of Peace. Read it, yet subscribe to it. I think, are you asking me, did I read it? Yes, I read it. Do I subscribe to it? Not entirely. Not entirely. No. And if you want to go into it piece by piece, we can do that at a much later date. I have no problem doing that. All right. All right, family. So any other questions? We got about 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Oh, I thought you did, Yahoo. I thought you did. I thought they were the ones that preserve. So the rabbinical or the rabbinic tradition is believed to be traced back to the Pharisees, and you are a proponent of the Pharisees, or the Pharisaic tradition, which preserves the Zadokite teachings, right, or traditions, right? Is that correct? Yeah. If you come to GA, let's have a bill. We'll record it and throw it up on the channel. I have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? So DB, yes, you're right. Correct. But Ashkenazi is a reference to Germany, Eastern Germany. That term Germany came much later, but that region was considered what we know today as Germany, right? So yes, it would have been populated from Japheth, right? So anybody that's called the Ashkenazi Jew are the Jews that migrated to Ashkenaz. That's why they're called Ashkenazi Jews, right? All right, so Yahoo, I got your entire premise skewered. So yeah, we had to discuss that again. All right. Jamali Lewis says you didn't address whether Abraham knew Jehovah by name. Actually, Jamali Lewis, I actually did a whole entire lecture series on this. Right? It's called El Shaddai, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, El Elyon, three of a kind or one and the same. Just go back and watch the first video. It's a 4-part series. Watch the first video and you'll have your answer to whether or not, was it the first video? No, the second video, part 2. Part 2 is where I explain or attempt to explain this, this, I don't know if it's a riddle. I don't know if it's a conundrum. I don't know what to call it, but whether or not that they knew Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh's name. Okay. So Sabbath or first day, did the Messiah rise since this was Christians? Yeshua, if we're going to look at New Testament theology accurately, he rose on the Shabbat, not Sunday. So hopefully that answers that. All right. Trying to go these questions real quick. Okay. Holy Spirit is God's hand, but you say it's not God. Well, what I'm saying is it's an extension of the Most High. It's his extension. So it's not like it's the third person of the Trinity and it's 3 distinct persons, but they're all the same God, right? They're homoousia, that they have the same substance, which is God, but it's made up of 3 persons. I don't subscribe to that because there are 3 distinct persons. The Ruach HaKodesh is not a distinct person. It's an extension of the Creator. It's not a distinct person. All right. Myron Henderson, is there a best way to start teaching my family the scriptures, books, articles, looking for material for my children? Well, there's people in our community that have family books that they created that you can use for your children. But remember, I'm working on an app, and it will be the best app you can get for children, right? So I'm going to set up an entire separate GoFundMe to try and raise the money to put that thing into production. It's going to cost a lot of money to do it, but once it's done, anybody can pick it up and give it to their children. But if you just want regular material that's available now, email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and I'll send you the links to the brothers and sisters in the community that have made material for children. Okay, so you can teach your family. All right. Well, Jack Max, it's interesting you brought that up because that's the conversation I had with Yahoo. All right, so it seems like y'all are on the same wavelength when it comes to that. All right. All right, so I think I'm gonna end it now at 2 hours. I don't want nobody to see this and freak out. If you have any other questions, I'll be live again. You know, I'm always live on Fridays unless something comes up. Save it for Friday, or I'll try to go live midweek, Wednesday or Thursday. But I'm gonna end it now. All right. Lab Judah said something right there. So I'll address your last question, Lab Judah, and I'll get out of here. He says, "What is your stance?" Donnell Jones. Sure, send me the information. I think I got a text from him about that. But yeah, if you have the information, email me. All right. Shout out to my sis Sharuka Israel in the building. What's going on, sis? But yeah, send me that the link or information or whatever to that, Donnell. And yeah, I'll jump on. I have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? DB, anytime, my brother. Thank you for your support, man. Thank you for investing in us via Patreon as well. I appreciate that. Shout out to all my Patreon pledges out there for keeping this ministry afloat financially. I appreciate y'all. Most of all the initiatives we do comes from your financial investments, which is the resources that we utilize to get things off of the ground. Even when we went out to Dallas, it was because of the people that donated via Patreon, people who patronize our merchandise and everything. You guys made Dallas possible. You know what I'm saying? You made Orlando possible. You make everything else possible. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, King of Newbies, yeah, come through on Friday, my brother, and let's build. And if you want, you can get on the panel. We could talk too. Okay. But so I'm gonna sum this up real briefly. And Lab Judah, I've talked about this before. But the Gentiles have to cleave unto Israelites. When they see things happening, like end time things happening, like we see in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, they're going to cleave unto Israelites. And the ones that cleave unto the Israelites are the ones that will be preserved. So the Gentile nations won't be preserved per se, but people in those nations will be, and they'll have access to the kingdom. The nation is going to be there to serve Israel. They're not all those people going to be in the kingdom, because all of them are not going to cleave unto Israel. But all of them are going to be coming and serving the Most High. But then there's going to be some ultimate war where the earth itself is going to be purged. So that way, New Jerusalem can be restored, right? But nonetheless, Gentiles will be serving Israelites in the kingdom. That's just what it is. That is the benefit of them cleaving into Israel and following the power of Israel, is that they get to serve Israelites in the kingdom. I know it's a hard pill to swallow. And some Gentiles don't like that, but that's facts. That's just what it is. And I've discussed this in previous live streams. So great question. Hopefully that begins to answer the question. And when Christians said, no, that's not true, we got to cleave no Israelite. And I say, do you subscribe to Yeshua? See your Messiah? Oh, he is? Oh, but he was an Israelite. So you are cleaving into Israelite to get into the kingdom. Either way, you cannot get around it. If you're a Gentile, you have to cleave to Israel and the power of Israel in order for you to get into kingdom. That's it. And when you get there, you're going to serve Israel. That's just the way it's going to be. Israelites served y'all in captivity, but y'all have a problem with serving Israelites in the kingdom. But yet y'all call yourselves followers of Jesus Christ, and Jesus taught y'all to be servants. So what problem is it if you have to serve in the kingdom? I don't know. I have no clue. All right. Yeah, no problem, Live. No doubt, my brother. No doubt. All right. So Adai Israel says the two witnesses, I've touched on that maybe briefly. I have never went in depth on that. So I mean, if you want that, sis, just email me a request and I'll get to it. Right. But that's a good question. All right. Yeah, but remember, the servitude that they're gonna serve is not gonna be like how chattel slavery was here in America and how African Americans were treated by the European slave masters. It's not that type. If you want to get, and this is great, because when I had my the luncheon with the Dallas team, and he was talking, the brother brought something out to me that I guess I already knew, but I never really used it. But the type of servitude that they're gonna do in the kingdom is regulated similarly the way that we find it in Torah for Israelites to rule over Gentile servants. Right? It's not the same thing you see in America. There's no buck breaking going on. Right? There's no beating somebody to death. You know what I'm saying? Damaging somebody's eye, where it says if you damage somebody's eye or knock out their tooth, they got to go free. You're not having that type of anger, or like it's not the same way. You cannot go and have sex with another man's wife. So if you have a servant and he's married, you can't have sex with his wife. But in chattel slavery in America, for African Americans, that's what happened to us. Slave master would go sleep with your wife. Remember that one of the curses, you would get betrothed to a wife and you won't even be able to lie with her, that somebody else will lie with her, right? Those are the curses. So the treatment that they're going to get is going to be similar to Torah regulating the treatment of Israelites who had Gentile servants. But they're going to be serving at a different capacity in a different environment than the Israelites were, right? So it's truly remarkable, but I don't see why there should be an issue. But then I realize it's because of innate racism. Think about a white, affluent, Orthodox Christian, right, who's a Gentile. And this man has lived his life with generational wealth, right? With a big house, car, good job, right? never had to struggle before in his life, but he goes consistently to church every Sunday. And you tell that man, you know, those base people, those black people in that poverty-stricken, crime-ridden neighborhood over there, yeah, you're going to serve those people in the kingdom. What do you think he's going to say? Is the humility going to come out of his Christian nature and say, you know what? I have no problem with that. I am a servant of God, and I will serve anybody God tells me to serve because I love everybody. Let's keep it real. There's no way in the world that's going to sit right in their mind, because they still have that subtle element of white supremacy. Now, are there some whites that are okay with it? Hell yeah. I know some white people who are great allies, who are cool, who is with it and said, look, if I got to serve, I got to serve. Those are the ones that's the true allies for Israelites, the ones who nobody prompts them to go do what they do, and they out there on the front lines with us. Those are the ones that if they're going to serve, if I'm an Israelite and they're going to serve me, those are the ones I want to serve me. It's those individuals right there, right? If I'm an Israelite. Now, if I'm not an Israelite for whatever reason, then I'll be happily serve. So what? We in the kingdom. So what? I'll happily serve. No problem. But think about the ingrained racism. You cannot tell a white affluent male, white male, right, with generational wealth, with a good job, a nice house, family, kids, assets, stocks, bonds, that is an Orthodox Christian that goes to church every day, that has never stepped foot in a poverty-stricken black neighborhood, never really had black friends, anything, and you're going to tell that guy in the kingdom you're going to serve those people? Nah. Shout out to my brother Hassad in the building. What's going on, brother Hassad from Sakai in the building? I had a great time chilling with Sakai in Dallas, man. Those brothers, those some good brothers. Yo, I don't know how y'all vet individuals from Sakai, but every city I've been to and I've met those brothers in Sakai, those are some stand-up dudes, man. All of them stand-up dudes. Good peoples, man. Good peoples, man. Actually, they're the ones who pointed me to the best spot to do my street campaign. So shout out to Sakai in Dallas, man. I even got a picture up with them on my social media. You know what I'm saying? On Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, those are good brothers, man. Hassad's good peoples too, man. All right, shout out to my brother Hassad in the building, Sakai. Shout out to Sean 105. He said this is why a lot of them won't make it. You're right. Because they're stiff-necked, stubborn, hard-headed, and they're racist. And a lot of times racism is not something somebody chooses. Sometimes it is epigenetically embedded into them because of the social construct in which they were raised. You understand what I'm saying? Jamalu says, what scripture proves they will serve? I just gave it to you. I said Isaiah 14. You can read it for yourself. Verses 1, 2, and on. That's just one scripture. There's several other scriptures where they're going to serve in the kingdom. If you want to address that, next time I go live, we can deal with it. No problem. All right. So Derayahu, I was right earlier. Oh man. Okay. So yeah, let me go, man. Like I said, I have no problem building with y'all, but it's 3 a.m. I got things to do tomorrow, so I need to get some rest. But I love you guys. I thank y'all for spending time here on a Tuesday morning, right? Monday night, Tuesday morning, building with me. I appreciate that. Hassad, that's an excellent question. And it's interesting because I seen the video or Deacon Hakah about supersessionism. I love that you guys are getting into this stuff now. And, you know, one thing that I will say is that what I try to do is introduce a lot of terms to our community for people to go back and research, pick it up, and do something great with it, right? But it's stuff that I want to make sure that we know, so then when we go face to face, toe to toe, and head to head with these Christians, we already equipped with these terms and understanding that we can use against them. And there's great books written on fulfillment theology, which vocab don't want to call it replacement theology. He says fulfillment. You know why? Because there's several Christian academic scholars that have written on replacement theology, and replacement became like a derogatory term, and they didn't like that term, so they just changed it to fulfillment theology, but it's the same thing. Vocab subscribes to that. That's why when I had that bill with him, he got caught. He got caught. I got him. And I was cool with it. I was just sitting there chilling and say, yeah, right. Got him. But yeah, that's a great question, Asad. I'll be live again this Friday. So if you're there, hit me up. If not, just email me, Asad, and I'll give you my take on that. All right. And if you need any information on supersessionism, fulfillment theology, replacement theology, I have tons of books on this stuff, articles on this stuff. I can shoot it to you. My email is kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. You guys take it and use it as you will to sharpen your swords, to give that work to any Christian apologist that want it. Just keeping it frank. That's what it is. All right. So with that, family, I love you guys. Thank you guys for chilling with me, man, spending some time with me. Thank you for asking me these questions. Hopefully I was able to sufficiently provide you with some breadcrumbs so you guys get to the mountaintops for yourselves. If there's anything that I missed, anything else you want to ask me, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Thank you, my brother Dirayahu Bendora. You are an extremely intelligent brother. I love your angle on our bills. You always have something unique that I have to look at. You know what I'm saying? So my prayers go out to you as well, my brother. I appreciate you. All right. So anybody else, if there's anything that we can do, Kingdom Harbinger Ministries can do to help you, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We're here to serve the people. If you guys want to invest in us, sign up for our Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. We have a biblical Hebrew course, academic course on there. We have tons of books available that you can read for free that are worth thousands of dollars. We have articles on there. We have money giveaways on there. We have exclusives on there. Anytime before I really drop something on here, YouTube, it's already up on Patreon at least maybe 2 to 3 days in advance. You know what I'm saying? So you get early access on there. There's tons of stuff that's on Patreon. Like I said, that's a 24/7, 365 after party that goes down all the time. So sign up for our Patreon, support the ministry, and this helps us better support you guys. And for everybody that is a Patreon, I appreciate it. Anybody that purchased anything from us, we appreciate it. Anybody that's donated, we appreciate that. Anybody that shared this video, that's prayed for us, we thank you, because all of that is necessary for us to have the fuel to keep going. All right. And again, if there's 10 or more Israelites in your city that want to join KHM, we will be there. All right. Email me, let me know your city, you know what I'm saying, and the interest in your city for this type of information, this angle, and we'll be there. Remember, don't hit me up if you're not willing to hit these streets up. If you're not about to hit these streets up and use your Torah culture to impact and change the community, because you're doing Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 7, which is seek the peace of the city on behalf of the Most High, for in its peace you shall have peace. That is our motto. That is what drives us to do what we do to fix problems in the community. Okay. So if you're not willing to put your hand to the plow and get this work done, then don't hit me up. I don't want nobody part of KHM that just thinks this is a church. It's not a church. It's not a church. Okay. It's not a church. All right. We're actively doing work in the community. The stuff that you see me do, everybody in KHM is going to be required to do something similar. Okay, we gotta achieve that autonomy, man, because as y'all judges this nation, we gotta depend on each other. We cannot continue to have this umbilical cord connected to society while he's judging it, when we can have our own autonomous enclave, right, or enclave, where we are patronizing each other. We are, self-sustained, self-governing, so that way we can wait out when everything else is being judged. The same way that when Yah was judging Misraim, you had a Varus or Goshen that was untouched. That's how we have to set things up. All right. So with that, family, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Peace and shalom.